to the British TV Watch List, the podcast that covers Brit shows worth the binge from an American point of view. We've got insight and analysis into actors, characters, storylines, and entire series. If it's streaming on the telly, we've got thoughts. So pop the kettle on, settle in, and let's get started with another episode of the British TV Watch List.
Aloha from breezy, balmy Honolulu, Hawaii. It's Michael T. Hope all is well wherever you are. Let me know in the comments in what area of the world you're listening. We want to know. So far, we can see Honolulu, of course. People are listening in Sunnyvale, California, Stafford, Virginia, Olympia, Washington, Midvale, Utah, and many other places. But wherever you are, thank you. So if you're paying close attention, yes, we have a new name. While I liked the DI download, it makes more sense to be more direct about what this podcast is all about. British TV. So there you go. Maybe in a year or two, it might make sense to change the name again. We'll see. For now, the DI download is out. British TV watch list is in. If British drama has a heartbeat, it pulses with quiet defiance. Not in revolution or political strife, but in village parlors, dusty libraries, and moonlit gardens where someone ordinary takes on something extraordinary. That's the spirit of the Amateur Sleuth. They're not trained in forensics, they don't carry warrants, they don't flash badges, but they solve crimes again and again with precision, patience, and the kind of insight that outpaces professionals. Today on the British TV watch list, we explore why this archetype endures. From quiet gardeners in Gloucestershire to retired codebreakers in post-war London, we look at 4 reasons why the amateur detective remains British television's most surprising force for justice. Let's start with the outsider advantage. What makes an amateur sleuth powerful is not knowledge alone, but perspective. These characters operate outside traditional institutions, and in doing so, they avoid the blind spots and limitations baked into routine and especially bureaucracy. Think about it. The official detective arrives with tools and titles, yellow police tape everywhere, gloves and bodysuits on, triangular markers on the floor denoting evidence. The amateur arrives with questions. No pressure, no posturing, just an intent to understand. Take Agatha Christie's Miss Marple, one of the earliest and most enduring examples. She doesn't investigate with charts or timelines. She simply listens. She remembers and connects. She spots patterns not because she's been trained to do so, but because she's lived through enough betrayals and scandals to notice the signs. She is underestimated and unsuspecting, and that gives her leverage. And I would add, Jane Marple seems to be related to everyone, or at least is friends with someone wherever she goes. If she ever gave up sleuthing, she could run for political office. She'd have half the votes. Have you ever wondered how she puts food on the table? How does she support herself financially? Does she even have a job? My research says she's supported by her nephew, and she's got 2 younger sisters. But I digress. We'll have to save that Marple biography for a different podcast. In Father Brown, we see similar distance, a priest with an abundant supply of compassion. He's not interested in punishment. He's interested in the truth. Criminals confess not under duress, but in quiet reflection. The outsider also sees what's changed. Professionals see what's wrong. The amateur sees what's off. A small gesture, an unusual word, an emotional pull. This difference in orientation shifts how the story unfolds. Crimes are solved not through technical mastery, but human understanding. And in the world of British TV, where character matters as much as plot, that outsider status becomes a superpower for our amateur sleuths. Nowhere is this clearer than in settings like the Marlowe Murder Club, found on PBS, where retired women with no access to evidence or suspects still find their way to justice, not in spite of their position, but because of it. On to reason number 2, underdogs with intuition. Amateur detectives don't walk into the room with authority. They don't command obedience. They often don't even have permission to investigate. And that's exactly why they succeed. They rely not on institutional power, but on intuition, a layered, hard-won sense of what feels right and what doesn't. This plays beautifully in shows like Rosemary Thyme, 2 gardeners, middle-aged, no experience in crime, but their intuition carries weight. They notice the soil disturbed near the hedge. They catch a tone shift in a grieving widow. They sense when someone's story just doesn't add up. Their tools? Botany, conversation, and observation. And that's it. And yet they unravel murders that professionals miss. There's something satisfying about this narrative. The idea that intelligence isn't limited to rank or education. It can come from life experience, empathy, and attentiveness. These sleuths don't posture, they don't grandstand, well, not much. They notice, and they connect. Susan Ryland, the book editor from Magpie Murders, takes that one step further. Her clues are literary. She doesn't chase fingerprints, she edits a manuscript. And in doing so, she peels back layers of motive, identity, and deception. Her victory is born from nuance, not force. These characters remind us of something crucial, that being underestimated is often the secret to success. They don't need credentials. They need curiosity, and they use it not to accuse, but to understand. That reminds me of Stephen Covey, the author. One of his rules for being successful says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. In a TV genre often dominated by aggression and bravado, the intuitive underdog is a quiet triumph, one that keeps viewers coming back. If you're enjoying the British TV watch list and want to help keep the clues coming, consider supporting us on Patreon at British TV Watchlist. Your support keeps the episodes flowing, the research sharp, and the kettle warm. As a patron, you'll receive shoutouts during future episodes, and you'll live with the quiet satisfaction of helping this cozy corner of British TV fandom thrive. We'll make sure each episode arrives like a perfectly brewed pot of Earl Grey, complete with a plot twist. Thank you for helping us solve the mysteries together. To join the case, visit patreon.com/British TV Watchlist. On to point number 3, the civilian detective renaissance. We are, I suspect, in the middle of a renaissance. Streaming platforms, shifting audience tastes, and a desire for intimacy over spectacle have brought amateur sleuths back to the center of the mystery world. Gone are the days when only grizzled cops and edgy detectives led crime dramas. Enter the librarian, the nun, the dog walker, the podcast host. Suddenly, the world of detection is populated by characters who don't just wear different shoes, they walk differently. In shows like Agatha Raisin, we watch a PR executive turn her curiosity and her social savvy into a full-blown sleuthing career. She's glamorous, nosy, and fiercely effective. And she's not solving crimes because she's supposed to. She's solving them because no one else will. In Miss Scarlet on PBS, Eliza Scarlet defies Victorian norms by running the detective agency her late father started. She's untrained, but razor sharp. She's constantly underestimated by men around her, but she still cracks cases with logic, emotion, and bravery. This renaissance may also be reflecting a real-world shift. Perhaps audiences are tiring of the rigidity of procedural shows. Maybe it's the swing of the pendulum toward a kinder, gentler vigilante. Viewers seem to like stories where the mystery unfolds through conversation, memory, and nuance, not just action sequences and gunfire. I like both types, and I think there's plenty of room for gritty and cozy. The rise of true crime podcasts, TikTok sleuths, and citizen journalism mirrors this fictional rebirth. We're no longer passive consumers of crime stories, we're engaged participants, and the characters we love mirror that shift. They could be us. Streaming platforms like BritBox, Acorn TV, and PBS Passport have amplified this movement. They've showcased stories with texture, mysteries where setting matters. Dialogue sings and the detective is more character than caricature. And at the center of it, the civilian, the person without access or authority, armed with only insight and determination. That's the sleuth of today. Finally, point number 4, it's justice without authority. Perhaps the most resonant theme in the amateur detective archetype is this. They seek justice without the power. They don't have the right to arrest, they don't hold legal sway, but they still make things right. And that's deeply compelling. In a time when trust in institutions wavers, the amateur sleuth offers a form of emotional justice, one rooted in truth, not law. They solve not to close a case, but to heal a wound. In the Bletchley Circle, a group of former World War II codebreakers reunites to solve crimes that the police ignore. They're dismissed, belittled, and sidelined, but they don't stop because they know something's wrong and they refuse to let it go. These characters often experience pushback. They're told to stay out of it, to leave it to the professionals. But their persistence is fueled none by duty but by conviction, and it leads them forward. And in doing so, they restore balance. In Vienna Blood on PBS, Max Lieberman doesn't enforce, he understands. He's a Freudian psychologist. His approach is psychological. His victories come from empathy, not confrontation. This form of justice reminds viewers that you don't need permission to care. You don't need a badge to pursue truth. You need patience, attentiveness, and resolve. All of that is reinforced by the physicality of the actor who plays Max, Matthew Beard. He's tall, slender, and as handsome as any male cover model. In fact, he used to be one before his acting career blossomed. Clearly, he is not an imposing physical threat. It's justice in its purest form, not institutional, but human. So why do we keep watching? Why does the amateur sleuth continue to endure? It's simple, because they reflect the best parts of ourselves. They're curious, observant, relentless, empathetic. They're not perfect, far from it, but they try, and in trying they make the world just a little bit more right. A couple of things are being subtly communicated here. Whether it's Miss Jane Marple, Susan Ryland, Grantchester's Will Davenport, or Eliza Scarlett, every sleuth without authority gives us what authority alone cannot. That sometimes the most ordinary person in the room sees what no one else can. It also communicates an ongoing theme in many British police mysteries. British mysteries often reflect public skepticism about law enforcement. A recurring line is, "I called you lot and you didn't do anything." It's fiction echoing frustration. And if that's true, the British might need a superhero ASAP, or at the very least, they need a public relations makeover. In the meantime, we'll just have to fire up another cozy stream. That's it for this episode. Please comment, leave a review, like, share, do what you gotta do. You know how to do it. We hope you enjoy listening to the British TV Watch List. Until next time, cheers!
The British TV Watch List is written and produced by Michael T. in Honolulu, Hawaii. Theme music provided by Alpha Music. Speculation and opinion powered by caffeine and curiosity. For more clever takes and cold cases, remember to subscribe, like and share. Keep the mystery and the moxie rolling. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025 Michael T. Media.